Welcome to Lattes and Lattes, the podcast where we blend the world of law and business with a warm cup of information and common sense. I'm your host, Sidney Wheelan, attorney, real estate investor, and business owner. Each week, we'll be your go-to source for legal insights, business advice, and so much more. Whether you're a seasoned professional, an ambitious entrepreneur, or simply someone seeking guidance, we'll have you covered. From navigating the legal landscape to empowering you with valuable business strategies, we'll explore the legal side of life and enjoy a virtual latte along the way. So, grab your favorite latte, get comfortable, and let's dive into Lattes and Lattes. Welcome to Lattes and Lattes. This podcast is sponsored by the Wheelan Law Firm of Moberly, Missouri, your go-to source for legal issues encountered by your family and your business. If you have questions about anything we discuss on this podcast, please reach out to us at wheelanlaw.com. Our goal is to serve you, your family, and your business professionally and with the utmost compassion and understanding. I'm your host, Sidney Wheelan, and welcome to episode 22 of Lattes and Lattes. Today, we're doing something a little different from our typical podcast. Last night, I had the opportunity to be a part of a local candidate forum sponsored by the Moberly Randolph County League of Women Voters. Today, I'm going to air the forum on this episode with the hope that we can all learn something about local politics, the candidates, and some of the issues that face our county leaders and our communities, regardless of where we live. I will warn you that this podcast is a little longer than most. We'll put some timestamps into the show notes, so if you are short on time, feel free to jump to the sections that you may be most interested in. Then, next week on this podcast, I'll dive a little bit deeper into the qualifications for candidates, the rules and regulations of running a campaign, and the voting process, particularly when it comes to the Missouri primary election that's right around the corner on Tuesday, August 6th. So, without any further delay, I welcome you to our candidate forum. Good evening. Looks like a great crowd today. We're so excited to have everyone come out. Looks like, well, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Sidney Wheelan. The forum tonight is sponsored by the Moberly Randolph County League of Women Voters. I'm currently president of our local league. Just a little bit about the League. League is a nonpartisan group. We work to promote informed and active participation by citizens in our government. And tonight we conduct this candidate forum in preparation for the primary election to be held on Tuesday, August 6th of this year. League members here tonight can be identified with our little pins and name tags. Barb Riley and Susanna Freeman will act as timekeepers tonight. You might give them a little wave. All right. Other league members, I think you've met some of them. They're going to be available throughout the evening. If you have any additional questions that you want submitted to the candidates, just get it to one of the league members. We'll get it to Mr. Boyer up front, and we'll get that taken care of. For those who are not able to attend tonight, we are live streaming this tonight. It'll also be recorded and available for our podcast fans on the podcast Lattes and Lattes. So before we get too far along, I want to ask that everybody please turn off or silence their cell phones so that we can have a good night tonight. Also, as a reminder, we expect the audience and the candidates to be respectful and courteous at all times. I think that goes without saying, and I'm not really worried about that tonight, but just a little reminder. Now, it is with great pleasure that I introduce our MC for tonight, Moberly's very own Brad Boyer. That's great, give him a hand. Brad spent nearly 40 years on the broadcast team at Quicks, Crest, Kirk, and KTCM radio stations. Over more than 15 years, he led programming teams serving as the operations manager. Mr. Boyer has received several honors, including induction in the Missouri Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2015 for his years of service as a radio broadcaster and promoter of the game of basketball in the state of Missouri. He He was enshrined in the Truman State University Athletics Hall of Fame in 2016, and he has been the voice of the Bulldogs the last 29 years. Other honors include a Distinguished Service Award from the Missouri State High School Activities Association, MACC's Distinguished Alumni Award, and multiple awards from the Missouri Broadcasters Association, including Best Small Market Play-by-Play the last 2 years. Brad and his wife, Christy, have 3 children. They were recently blessed with their 5th grandchild and eagerly anticipate their 6th grandchild in the coming days. Brad also tells me he's very excited about his future, and I'm sure we will be hearing more about that one soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brad Boyer.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you to the Moberly Randolph County League of Women Voters for the opportunity to serve here tonight. And here is the format for tonight's forum as follows. Each candidate will be allowed to make a 2-minute opening statement. Following these statements, we begin with the question and answer portion of the forum. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to present their answer. Following the question and answers, the candidates will have an opportunity to make a 1-minute closing statement. Now, the League has prepared several questions for the candidates in advance of tonight's forum, and the public has had an opportunity to submit questions online this week as well. And audience members are encouraged to submit questions tonight. Questions should be brief, of general interest, and not about personal matters. If several questions are similar, we may combine those for efficiency of time here tonight. I would ask the League members who will be handing out and collecting question cards to please raise your hands. You may write a question and hand it to one of these ladies at any time, and we will have some of the cards available for this purpose near the doors to the auditorium. You can turn those in to League members here tonight. You must write your name on the bottom of the question, but your name will be not read with the question. Candidates will begin their opening statements in ballot order. Candidates will go in reverse order for the closing statements. So let's begin. We'll start with candidates for Randolph County Commission. If the commission candidates would start making their way up to the stage. If anyone has a question for the commission candidates, please get your question to one of the League members. They'll raise their hands at this time. All candidates will be allowed to respond to all questions if they choose. Now, in the essence of time tonight, the League has elected to combine the candidate panel for both the Eastern and Western districts. We ask that the commission candidates be seated in the following order from left to right. First, for Western District Commissioner, Austin Kaiser, Teresa Hunt, and John Hobbs. John was not able to make it. He has had an unexpected medical issue this week. He will not be able to attend tonight, and certainly we wish him all the best. And for Eastern District Commissioner John Tracy and Jason Lowry Jr. When voting, you must vote for either the Western District Commissioner or the Eastern District Commissioner. There are maps available near the doors if you are interested in how the districts are divided in the county. Each elected commissioner will serve a 4-year term. We will begin with the opening statements, going in ballot order, first for Western District Commissioner and then for Eastern District Commissioner. Candidates, make your opening statements. We will begin with Austin Kaiser.
Good evening. Thank you to the League for hosting this important event. This is now my 3rd one, and you ladies do a great job every time, and I want to say thank you. Again, my name is Austin. I take great pride in my lifelong deep roots here in Randolph County. In fact, I graduated from high school on this very stage back in '89, scary enough. But it's amazing we fit everybody up here. And I also had driver's ed in that back corner of this very auditorium. So as the owner of AK's Outdoors, I've enjoyed becoming friends with many customers all over our county. And I was recently honored with being nominated for Business of the Year and Entrepreneur of the Year by the local Chamber of Commerce. I'm finishing up my 2nd term as a city councilman, during which I have built personal and professional relationships with many of the county, regional, and state agencies. During that time, I have been a leader in our effort to bring our emergency services into a true joint 911 operations center. This required building relationships with members of the Ambulance District Board, our City Council, and the County Commission. We've made great strides, but there's still a lot more work to be done. Prior to opening AKs, I spent 25 years in the technology industry where I consulted corporations, organizations, and governments all over the country. During my career, I had to learn to listen and ask probing questions to understand my customers' challenges and needs, and to quickly think on my feet and to think outside the box versus, well, we've always done it this way. Throughout my career, I had to bring people together to and work towards a solution. And when problems arose, bring all the stakeholders together, identify the problem, and develop a strategy to get it resolved as quickly as possible. My entire adult life has been about being a leader while also taking care of customers. These are all required skills necessary to be a successful commissioner. I'm excited to answer your questions this evening. Thank you.
Teresa Hunt, opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for all your hard work in setting this up. I'd also like to thank you for being our MC this evening and everyone for showing up and taking time this evening to listen to what we have to say. My name is Teresa Hunt, and I'm running for Western District Commissioner. I was born and raised in the military, and this gave me the opportunity to live in various places all over the world. Seeing how the rest of the world lives helped me understand the value of our great country and why we live the way that we live. I'm married to Commander Stephen Hunt, and together we have raised 3 amazing children. I was blessed to be able to stay home for most of our children's childhood. This allowed me to focus on raising our children and volunteer as an ombudsman for the United States Navy. As a child, I was always helping my mother serve others, looking for ways to help people and to solve people's problems. And as an adult, I continued to do the same as an ombudsman. When I accepted the position as an ombudsman, I had no idea what that meant or just how much time and effort that was going to take. But I jumped in with both feet and learned everything I could. That way my families would have an ombudsman that they could count on and trust. I plan on doing the same as a commissioner. I will give 100% to listening to what the people want and fighting to make that happen. 10 years ago, we moved to Huntsville and bought the family farm, which makes us the 4th generation to reside in Randolph County. Our land has been in the family since 1909, and we've been serving Randolph County in various ways ever since. Family is very important to me. I have always been one to stand up for my immediate family and my military family. And now I would like the opportunity to take all that experience and stand up and fight for this already great county and make it even better.
Now our Eastern District Commissioner candidates, and John Tracy, your opening statement.
Women voters for hosting this event and everybody that turned out. I'm currently the Randolph County Eastern District Commissioner. I'm running for re-election. My wife, Donna, and I live on a farm in Clark, Missouri. We've got 5 kids between us, 10 grandkids. I'm a retired city administrator with almost 38 years' experience, in which time I prepared budgets, grants, and ran the daily operation of the cities. I've served Eastern District Commissioner's seat since 2021, and with my municipal and county experience, I have almost 42 years of experience in city and county government. I'm a Vietnam veteran, 32nd degree Mason, served as master of my lodge, a Shriner, served as president of my local Rotary Club, past members of Missouri City Managers and International City Managers Association, currently serve on the Moberly Economic Development Board and the MU Extension Board. If reelected, I want to see the completion upgrades to 911 Central Dispatch to ensure that all emergency agencies have the equipment and communication that's needed to get to where they need to be and continue to be safe. We'll continue to make improvements to our county roads and representing the citizens of Randolph County with honesty, integrity, experience. As your Eastern Commissioner, I will continue to work with the other commissioners to get things done for the citizens of Randolph County and to represent the citizens of Randolph County. Your support and vote August 6th, much appreciated. Thank you.
Jason Lowry Jr., your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Lowry Jr., and I am candidate for Eastern District Commissioner. I want to again thank the League of Women Voters for putting this together tonight. I also want to thank my wife and my children for supporting me through this, as well as my friends and family who have been there the whole way. A special shout out to our commission who has been digging away to keep us afloat in Randolph County. I appreciate all the work you guys have put in, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve as commissioner beside you all. I've been a lifelong resident of Randolph County. Graduate of this high school. I graduated from Moberly Area Community College as a licensed practical nurse. So my focus for commissioner would be to have a healthy and sustainable community. I think we need to start with our young population and give them a real reason to stick around after graduation and give families a reason to come here and build and prosper along with us. So I just want to again thank everyone for being here tonight, and I would appreciate your support on August 6th. Thank you.
All right, let's begin with the question portion. We will alternate who starts first for each of these questions. So the first question, and Teresa Hunt, you will begin with the answers here. The county is in the process of working with local cities, law enforcement, and fire departments in the implementation of a unified dispatch for 911. What is your position on how unified dispatch should be implemented? And what would you like to see the county do in regard to this issue?
When I was living in Columbia for a short time, I worked as a 911 dispatcher for Joint Communications in Boone County. A joint communication for 911 is of the utmost importance. You would be amazed at how much time you save just simply by having everything go into the same center and everyone receiving the exact same information at the same time. Right now, we don't have that. We've been working on it. I don't know what the holdup is, but I think that the biggest thing that we need to work on right now is unity. We need to get all of the departments together, working together. We've got the money, we've purchased stuff. The problem is we need to unite and we need to work together, not against each other.
John Tracy, would you like me to repeat the question?
I got it.
Okay.
The commission received American Relief Funds, I think a total of $4.8 million. To date, we spent about $3 million of that, probably got a couple 100,000 more. We bought all new radios for all emergency personnel, improved the dispatch center in Moberly. The repeater antennas should be in this month. They may be in right now. Those will be installed. City of Moberly is in the process of hiring a 911 coordinator to implement that, and we're in hopes to have that fully operational by the first of the year, shortly after. It's essential that we have central dispatch. The way it is now, if 911 called, Moberly would answer it. They would have to call the ambulance. If someone was awake, they might answer the phone. It just doesn't work. The way central dispatch will work is everything will pop up on everybody's screen, including the ambulance, and they will dispatch fire, county sheriff, their police department, ambulance, and any other necessary personnel. So it's a great thing. We've had a lot of problems, people out and couldn't communicate, so that was our number one priority. They started talking about that before I got on there in 2019. In the last 3 years, we've been able to implement that.
Jason Lowry Jr.
Yeah, as they've already mentioned, it's vital in emergency situations to have everything housed together and unified. So I definitely think that we should move forward in making sure that all happens in prompt and as soon as possible for the safety of our residents. As a health professional, we see pretty good wait times a lot for getting emergency services dispatched to us. So, just making sure that everyone in our community has the opportunity to have prompt and efficient health care starts with the communication lines and making sure that they can be dispatched appropriately.
Austin Kaiser.
Yes, like I said in my opening statement, I've been working on this issue for almost 6 years. I can remember when the first meetings happened, they turned into yelling matches between the ambulance, the city of Moberly, and the county commission. I'm very happy to say that we all get along now. It was a long process, but with board members like Bob Riley and Charlie Peel and Merle Riley on the firefighter side and so on, and with the county commission, before it was John Truesdale, now it's Sid Conklin. We get along a lot better, and we're actually making progress with the equipment. But it's more than just equipment. You can throw equipment, you can buy a new truck, but if you don't know how to use it, it doesn't help. We are hiring a new director, and I'm very proud to be the one that proposed to do that sooner than later. And we're looking at new locations to hold that center, the actual center itself, and we have the tower, thanks to the commission's money, sitting on 4th Street. You'll see it where the old Banquet Foods is. And it's going to greatly improve everything. Obviously, everybody wants, when you call 911, you talk to one person and they dispatch everything. That is the ultimate goal, but there's so much behind that. It's a lot of work. And anybody that's been involved with government, unfortunately, things don't happen overnight. It drives me crazy as a business owner, but it is what it is. But I'm proud of the work that we've gotten so far, and we've got a long ways to go, as I said earlier, but we're making progress, and I'm excited about it.
Thank you. Before we continue, is everybody hearing okay? Sounds good up here, so okay. All right, very good. We will continue with our next question. There is currently no countywide zoning in place. Do you support zoning in the county? Why or why not? And we will begin with John Tracy.
I can talk quite a bit about this. Being a past city administrator, I had planning and zoning in my cities. It's kind of a double-sided sword, if you want to. Randolph County a few years ago put that on the ballot. It was soundly defeated. A lot of people think if we had it, we could stop sludge plants, solar, windmills. You have to have a provision in their form. You can put them under a conditional use permit or special use permit with conditions, but if you completely outlaw them, you're going to get beat in court. The other thing comes to mind, you'd have to have a planning and zoning board, board of adjustments, variance board, code enforcement, zoning ordinance, and codes. So if you're going to build something like the farmer out there that builds a barn or a shed or a new house in one of the rural areas, you may be required to have architect engineer plans. We're going to have probably a town hall meeting. We've discussed this in the commission chambers to get input on that. There's some people wanting it, but they need to understand what comes with it. So right now, I'm not for putting that on the ballot.
Jason Lowry Jr.
So first and foremost, I definitely support private property rights. I understand behind zoning and planning, having that as an option for safe structures being built to ensure everything is safe for our residents. So, I mean, I would definitely like to talk around the county and see what the consensus would be. But as of today, I don't think it's necessary. I think we should protect our land and do what we need to do as residents of Randolph County.
All right. Austin Kaiser.
Yes, I am not. I've served on planning and zoning inside the city of Moberly for the last 6 years. I am not in favor of planning and zoning in the rural areas. I think it has its time and place. But I am interested in finding creative solutions to address the concerns of how we allow things to come in our county. And but with zoning, I have zero interest of ever making someone have to go to the courthouse and beg for permission to do something on their land. I will emphatically oppose that till the end of my term. So,
Teresa Hunt.
So I've lived in Columbia, Missouri. I've built a home where there were every ordinance you could possibly have. And then I built a home here in Randolph County where the only ordinance I had to follow was my sewer. Kind of liked the way it went here. It was much easier. I got to make my own decisions. But it's my understanding that the last time planning and zoning was brought up, the people said no. So regardless of what I want or what I don't want, until the people tell me they want something different, I'm going to stand up and fight no, just like the people said.
All right. Thank you, candidates. Our next question. County roads are always a topic for rural residents. What is your experience in dealing with gravel road maintenance, and how will you determine or prioritize which county roads need attention? And we will begin with Jason Lowry, Jr.
So for what roads need attention first would be based off of their condition. If they're high traffic areas and very poor repair, you obviously have to focus your direction there. As for experience with maintaining gravel roads, I'm very limited on my experience there. That's why I'll rely on, the professionals that we've put in place to uphold and maintain our roads. We have a special roads district, and we have the county roads. So there are professionals who are in place to maintain those. I think it's our responsibility to just continue to follow up with them and ensure that they are doing it effectively and appropriately.
Austin Kaiser.
Yes, for the last 6 years, I've been involved with the road maintenance and street maintenance here in Moberly. But the answer is I grew up on a gravel road. I always laugh that I learned how to ride a 10-speed on gravel road, and everybody remembers the little tiny tires. From a maintenance standpoint, it is important we do have a great department. They've been held back in the past by our commission members, not necessarily Ms. Tracy. But they need our support. One of the biggest issues is they have very old equipment. I would propose and work towards having a scheduled replacement program to update our road graders, our dump trucks, and so on. But like was said, we do have some really good people that work for the Road and Bridge Department. They support over almost 500 miles. And it's important that we support them and encourage them to do things right the first time. For me, it's cheaper to do that than in the long run having to keep coming back over and over. One of the bigger issues is like dust control. We need to work better with our citizens who pay to have that dust control so that we don't go in and rip that up. And I know that's a big complaint, as well as the size of rock and so on. And I will work with our department as well as other experts, make sure that we're doing it the proper way and doing it better.
Teresa Hunt.
So I've lived on a gravel road here in Randolph County for the last 10 years. I own my own tractor. I blade my own driveway. I do know a little bit about what it takes to keep the roads up, and let me tell you, it's not an easy job. We have a lot of roads, and we have older equipment. I do agree with Austin that we need to get on a program that helps us have more quality equipment for the gentlemen that are driving the trucks, but I also think that we need to have good training. We need to make sure that our guys have top training for what they're doing out there. And then we need to look at our roads. I think all the roads are of equal importance. Somebody lives on every one of those roads. Don't ask me to say which somebody is more important than another. All of those roads are important, and it's up to us as the county commission and the road and bridge guys to make sure that we are taking care of everybody's road, and everybody's road is drivable.
John Tracy.
When I first got on the commission, commissioners agreed to buy what they call a serrated blade, and what that does is dig down deep, gets that gravel up, takes the potholes out. The other thing we did as a commission was that we had our road and bridge, when they grade a road, they grade it all, no spot zoning. When they gravel it, gravel the whole thing. Everybody remembers there for about a year we used the large rock to reestablish our base. Sure wasn't popular. Nobody liked it. We didn't like it. We're not going to do that again. I think we're in pretty good shape. If you drive these roads, you'll see they're pretty solid after a rain. We're using 1.25 inches. That's what they've always used in the past. We're going to continue to do that. Road and Bridge has adapted well to some of the changes. We've got some good crews in there. We were able to get salaries up a little bit, so we haven't had any turnover. Equipment, a lot of that's old. I suggested 3 years ago to do some lease purchases. We bought 2 new road graders on 2% interest for 3 years. We're going to continue that program. We have a list right now of needs of equipment from our superintendent, Mike Rogers, and we're going to roll that in probably at the next budget because the payment won't be due for a year. Usually on the new ones, they come with a 3-year warranty, bumper to bumper. So we think we're headed in the right direction. Definitely equipment, and trying to find the money to support the gravel for the roads is always a problem. Thank you.
Our next question for the Commissioner candidates. The County Commission must work closely with cities within Randolph County. What is your plan to continue to foster positive relationships with communities in our county? Are there any relationships that you see as problematic? And if so, what do you intend to do to solve those problems? We will begin with Austin Kaiser.
Sure. So today, I know under Sid's guidance, he has meetings a lot with the mayors of the various communities that we have here. And I would encourage continuing that. I am a big fan of town meetings, bringing people together and discussing the issues that are important to them, making sure they have a voice. And but it's also those one-on-one relationships. You know, I've got relationships with just about every community in our county, and as well as a lot of the county agencies and so on. So a lot of that is just being able to communicate between each other, finding ways to find grants to enable our smaller communities to accomplish more for their citizens, and so on.
Teresa Hunt.
I do intend on trying to work harder to make our county a united county. We can get a whole lot more done, and we have a much larger voice if we're a united county and not separate little towns within a county. I've been spending a lot of time with a lot of the different towns lately and hearing different things, and a lot of people are saying the same things, and a lot of people want the same things. And so I think the big push here is that we need to just continue going and visiting. The current commission is on a lot of boards, and they are paying attention to what's going on in the other towns. We need to make sure that you know that we're paying attention in those towns, and you know that when you want to tell us something or you want something to be heard, we're going to listen, and we're going to help come to some kind of agreement that works for the entire county, not just for individuals. So I think as long as everybody can come to the table and be respectful and be willing to meet in the middle ground, I see no reason why this county can't become one huge united county that stands tall for anything that's coming on.
John Tracy.
Something that actually our presiding commissioner, Sid Conklin, who's doing a great job, initiated was quarterly meetings with all the cities, and also bringing in Mark Twain Regional Council. We also have the president of the Moberly Economic Development that tries to attend those to help out with any grants. Mark Twain writes the grants, and economic development can kind of steer them where they need to go also. About a year or so ago, we were able to give each city, and keep in mind a lot of them are small, they don't have much money, $50,000 from the American Relief Fund. This was like Christmas in July to them. They were able to do some projects, whether it be road, buy some equipment. I think one of them's building a building for City Hall and a storage facility. So it was a big shot in the arm, especially to the small cities. And we want to continue to do that.
Jason Lowry Jr.
So I think to foster positive relationships in the small communities, it starts with communication. And it's not just being able to talk to them, but listening to what they say as well. In my professional life, I deal with a lot of data that circulates around Randolph County specifically. And there's many social determinants that all of our communities in Randolph County are facing. So I think just by opening that line of communication up and really being available and attentive to each community individually is going to be key to being successful long term there.
All right, let's do one final question. And this we'll start with Teresa Hunt. How will you prioritize budget issues, and what proposals do you have, if any, for the county budget?
I have not dealt with our county's budget that much. There are a lot of things that go into that budget. There are a lot of people that go into that budget. And I don't think that you could, as one person, say, this is what we're going to do with the budget. There are several elected officials who have departments that they have to run. So I would need to sit down with them. I would need to know exactly what's going on in their departments and what their needs really are. I would need to talk with the assessor and with the treasurer to know what money do we have? What money do we have coming in? And then we're going to have to sit down and decide, are we spending our money where we should be spending it? Do we have any money that we're spending that maybe that's not really important and it's not what the taxpayers want? So as far as the budget goes, I would have to sit down with a lot of people first before I could answer that question.
John Tracy.
I've done a lot of budgets in my time, similar and even a little more than the county's. The county's current budget is at about 5.9 million, I believe. We've got 4.2, a little bit over that in reserves. We've been able to stay out of that. Prior commissions have built that up a lot. It never was that high for a long time, and we want to stay out of the reserves in case we need them for a rainy day. Each elected office holder prepares a budget, submits that to our county clerk. She's our chief financial officer, and Kyle is our treasurer. They both do a good job. They put that together. The commission submits a budget for road and bridge and maintenance, and she throws that into the hopper, spits it out, and we see if all the pie fits. When you're doing the budget, my philosophy is no office or department is off limits if budget cuts need to be made. It needs to be a balanced budget, and you need to try to put a little bit in reserves after that. I've always budgeted my revenue on the low side, so at the end of the year we had a little bit of surplus, hopefully, if everybody stayed. All the officers are good about submitting their budgets. They haven't really been asking for a lot of extra fringe, so we commend them on that. So,
Jason Lowry Jr.
Yeah, I'm going to really coattail with Teresa as far as working with a budget of this size. It really just takes being attentive and being willing to cut when necessary. But at the same time, you want to talk to all of your other elected officials and all of your county offices to ensure that their needs are being met, because we cannot cut if their needs are not met. Wants are a totally different question. You know, when we look at a county budget, as long as we're meeting the specific criteria of our population, that's necessary. When we go above and beyond, that's when we can look for grant funding and other funding opportunities to do some of the extra stuff we really want to do. And again, like Mr. Tracy said, being willing to cut budgets, it's a tough thing to do because we understand that, you know, we're all just trying to survive here and do what's best for the community, but sometimes that is best for the community.
Austin Kaiser.
Yes, I've had the privilege of being involved with 6 budget cycles with the budget of approximately $49 million here in the city. It is a 6-month process. I know our county is a much shorter process than that, but budgeting for a government entity is far different than even for a business or for at family home. We're not allowed, like the federal government, to run big deficits, and we don't want to have anything like that. Having that fund for rainy days is very important. Again, everything is on the table when you walk into a budget cycle. You have to balance your commitments to your citizens. You've got to balance the requirements of each of the elected officials to make sure that they have what they need to meet their commitments to the citizens. And you've got to pay your staff a competitive wage so you can retain those employees that are under your care. At the end of the day, as an elected official, one of the most important things that you have is that you're a steward of the citizens' money. We have to look at the taxes and so on. I am opposed to raising taxes, especially on the sales tax side as anywhere else. I'm very much in favor of freezing taxes for our senior citizens. But again, you have to look at all of that and each of the funds, each of the different buckets, and it gets very complicated, but it's a long and tedious process, but it's easy to do. But there's a lot of interesting conversations that go on how to prioritize those. But that's how I would do it.
All right. We will now have our closing statements from the candidates. We will go in reverse order. And we'll begin with the candidates for Eastern District Commissioner and Jason Lowry Jr. with your closing statement.
Again, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Thank you to the League of Women Voters. Again, I just would really appreciate your support as we move forward. I'm really interested in developing our youth. I really want to keep our families here. I want to keep our young graduates coming back to Moberly. And another part is I know there's an opportunity to keep our seniors in their homes. So I'm definitely going to be looking into that. I've done some communication at the state level, and I've seen the bills that have been passed, and I think it's kind of up to us as commission to ensure that our seniors get to stay in their homes. Thank you all.
John Tracy, your closing statement.
Yeah, I'll just hang my hat on my experience of almost 42 years in not only municipal but county government. I worked with a lot of counties when I was a city administrator. I know how to create budgets to make sure they're balanced and that we stay within that, put away reserves, continue to upgrade our roads and equipment, and be responsive to the citizens of Randolph County, whether they're in the eastern or western. We don't care what it is. So we'd appreciate your consideration and your vote August 6th. That's going to decide it. And again, we want to thank the League of Women's for putting this on, everybody coming out. Thank you.
Candidates for Western District Commissioner, Teresa Hunt, your closing statement.
Again, thank you very much, ladies, for all your hard work. I really appreciate it. I don't profess to bring any more experience, knowledge, or political connections to the table than what my opponents here have. If I thought those were the things that were the issue, and that's all that was needed, I wouldn't be running. Our current team of commissioners has a vast amount of experience, knowledge, and connections, which they have used diligently to support this county. But I want to bring something else to the table. I want to add to the table the love of a mother. A mother's love is powerful, unconditional, and selfless. Tonight, I'm not just asking you to let me be the people's partner. I'm asking you to let me be Randolph County's mom, the one who has the heart and strength to stand up with the other commissioners and fight for what the people want.
And Austin Kaiser, your closing statement.
Thank you. I have thoroughly enjoyed answering your questions this evening. I find this to be a lot of fun. Thank you again to the League for hosting this important event. I encourage everyone to go out and check out my Facebook page, Vote for Austin, and my website, votefораustin.net. There you'll see many endorsements that I've received from past presiding commissioners, as well as various officials and just general people from throughout the county. There's also so much more information about my qualifications and my positions on various issues. In the coming days, we'll be posting a lot more information. At the end of the day, this is not about me personally or my opponents. It comes down to you, the citizens. I pray that you will do your research, compare and contrast the differences that each of us bring to the table. From there, I hope that you will select the person that you feel will be the most effective in serving you and Randolph County. Again, my name is Austin, and I would be grateful to have your vote on August 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. You may step down. Candidates for County Commissioner, let's give them a hand.
Good luck, man.
See you on the 6th.
Yep.
Now will candidates for Coroner please come to the stage, take a seat at the table. The candidates for Coroner in ballot order are Don Barrett and Charlie Peel. The candidate elected to Coroner will serve a 4-year term. Again, if anyone has a question for the Coroner candidates, now is the time to get your question to one of the League members. At this time, the league members have requested that we take a moment to remember the third candidate on the ballot for Randolph County Coroner, Johnny Milneys. Mr. Milneys passed away on Saturday, July 20th. He served Randolph County for the past 3 years as the deputy coroner. In the past, had served as deputy sheriff for Randolph County and was wounded in the line of duty during a jailbreak attempt. Mr. Milneys served our community in many ways throughout his life, including actively participating on various county boards, including Randolph County Ambulance District, Randolph County Health Department, and Randolph County Developmental Disability Services. He will be missed, and our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends. And if we could just observe a moment of silence right now in memory of Johnny Milneys. Thank you. All right, we will begin with the opening statements, going in ballot order. So we will begin with Don Barrett.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having me here. I am so glad I'm not running for county commissioner, though. I running for county coroner this time. I was coroner for 4 years, in 2017 to 2021. After that term, I elected not to run again at that time. I became a reserve deputy sheriff with the Sheriff's Department. In the last 3 years, I spent working for the Sheriff's Department. 2 years prior to my term as coroner, I spent 2 years working with Gerald Lunsford as deputy coroner. I learned a lot from him. He'd been around, he knew what he was doing, and he knew what the coroner was supposed to do and how they were supposed to behave. The coroner's responsibility is not just saying, yes, you're no longer among the living. It's a lot more than that. Sometimes you spend 2 or 3 days trying to find a family member. Sometimes you spend 3 or 4 days just trying to find out who the guy was that passed away. Nobody knows him. But it's got to be done. Tenacity is a virtue for a coroner, I think. I've had several times where I've had to find people that didn't exist. I had a death one time where the family members were in Arkansas. Supposedly, I found them in Wisconsin. As far as being the coroner, it's something that you don't just do because you want to do it. It's something you do because it needs to be done. And you don't do it for you. You do it for the deceased. Thank you.
And Charlie Peel, your opening statement, please.
Well, thank you, everybody. My name is Charlie Peel, and I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to speak tonight. I think this is a great candidate forum, and it's a good place for everybody to get their message out. As stated, I'm running for county coroner. I've been your county coroner for the last 2 years. I was appointed into that position after Sid became presiding commissioner. I'm a 25-year Army veteran with 5 combat tours overseas. Have a large family. My wife, Laura, is here with me tonight. We have 5 kids between us, Holden, Shelby, Dakota, Sadie, and Casey, with 5 grandkids. Number 6 will be here next week, and number 7 will be here in December. So we're pretty excited about that. As Dawn said, being a coroner, it's a job that needs to be done. It's not something that anybody ever wants to have to do. We don't like having to go tell somebody's loved one that this person's deceased. That's probably one of the worst jobs that a guy could ever have to have. It's not fun, but it's a job that has to be done. You know, treating decedents with respect and dignity is the #1 priority, but then the second priority is treating the families the same way, with dignity and respect, and making sure that they understand what's going to happen with their loved one and how things are going to go with their loved one. You know, I look forward to continuing this service as your county coroner. It's an honor to be able to do that, and I ask that you consider me for coroner again for another 4 years.
First question, we'll begin with Charlie Peel. What training is required of a coroner? Will you participate in such training, or what additional training will you see?
Yes, so now the state that just 3 weeks ago, passed a law that you have to have the 40-hour medical legal death investigator class, which I obtained as soon as I became the county coroner. So I've had the 40-hour medical legal death investigator class. I been in the fire and EMS service for a long time, have a lot of medical background in the fire and EMS service. I looking to go get some law background. I'd like to go to the academy and get a post certification. That's something that I have not done, but it takes a lot and just basically some thinking that has to happen when you're going in and investigating a death.
Don Barrett.
The coroner's office does a lot of investigative work. Therefore, I think that the coroner should have some skills with investigations. They should be post-certified through the state of Missouri, which I am currently a law enforcement officer certified with Missouri. The coroner's office, some of them have been trying to get this post-certification for several years. Gerald Lunsford was one of them. There's so many people that don't have a clue how to investigate the cause and manner of a death. And I think that the post-certification from Missouri, I think is an awesome idea, and I am strictly for it.
Our next question, and we'll begin with Don Barrett. What plans, if any, do you have to enhance the office of coroner?
Do what?
What plans, if any, do you have to enhance the office of coroner?
Well, the job of the coroner is to just simply investigate death and figure out the cause and the manner of death. Each individual death is a different circumstance. You don't know what you do until you get there. You don't know how to investigate until you see the circumstances. Sometimes it'll look like one thing and you find out it's something completely different. You just have to work your way through it and just do the best you can.
Charlie Peel.
Yep. So death in this county by fentanyl drug abuse, drug overdoses is very prevalent. It's a huge, huge factor. Last year in Randolph County, we had 27 deaths due to fentanyl and drug overdoses in this county. I would look to advocate for more resources for drug enforcement, for drug abuse education, drug abuse rehabilitation, where I'd like to see us go with this.
Next question will begin with Charlie Peel. How do you see your office working with other county agencies and offices?
Our office works very well with all the other agencies in the county. We work with Moberly PD, we work with the prosecuting attorney's office, we work with the sheriff's office and all the fire and EMS officials. And we have a very good working relationship with all of them agencies, and I look to continue that working relationship.
Don Barrett.
When I was Randolph County Coroner, I worked both the Sheriff's Department, State Highway Patrol, and Moberly Police Department, Huntsville Police Department. Most of the times, everything worked out pretty good. There were some times when there was difference of opinions that we had to work through, but working with each agency is something that we've always been able to do. We work things out the way they should be, and I think we could continue in that same relationship.
All right, Don, we'll let you start with this question. What budget concerns do you believe you may have? How will you prioritize items on the coroner's budget, and what changes might you propose?
I don't really see how you would prioritize anything in the coroner's office because it's basically the same thing. You have deaths, you have autopsies, you have equipment you have to purchase. County gives you what they want you to have, so you take that and spend it. But the main thing is just the equipment that you have to have. Body bags, needles, syringes. That's about it. So there's really no prioritizing any of it. It's equipment that you have to have.
Charlie Peel.
So our budget this year was increased due to the amount of autopsies that we have to do. It cost about $3,500 to get an autopsy done. So we've increased our budget this year for autopsies. Dawn is correct. Our supplies that we need to have, our body bags, our syringes that we have to have for the blood draws that we need to do. And then just let alone our livery service that for the individuals that come and pick up the decedent for us, we have to pay them for that as well. So our budget, last year we was very fiducially responsible. We came in under budget last year, but however, we did increase our budget this year because of the amount of autopsies. And I'm doing everything we can to keep our budget down below what we're actually budgeted.
And we'll do one more question, and we'll begin with Charlie Peel. Do you see the coroner's office participating in educating the public on the current fentanyl opioid dangers, and if so, how?
Absolutely. So I've been in conversations with several individuals within the county, our law enforcement officials, some of our pharmaceutical outfits that we have in town, to try to come up with a program for drug and alcohol addiction and overdoses and drug abuse programs. And yes, I would love to continue doing that.
Don Barrett.
I'm not really sure how to answer that question. Drug overdose is a choice that people individually make. It's not something that we have any control over. If they want to do that, then there's consequences for it. I know that sounds callous, but it's not our fault. We just do what we can to help with that.
All right, we will go on now to the closing statements from the candidates for the position of coroner, going in reverse order, starting with Charlie Peel.
So, again, thank you to the League of Women Voters. We appreciate this opportunity. I am a dedicated Randolph County resident, a veteran, a firefighter, and a devout family man who served this community as coroner for the past 2 years. I know what it means to sacrifice for the needs of others, and I will continue to uphold such to ensure that the job of county coroner is performed in a professional, transparent, and honest way. It is my hope that you will re-elect me as Randolph County coroner to continue serving Randolph County, and I thank you for your all's time.
And Don Barrett.
If I'm elected county coroner, I will be here to do the job. 4 years, the 4 years I was coroner, I took 2 weeks off out of 4 years to be gone for vacations. Other than that, I answered every coroner call that came into the office. If I'm elected again, that's the same thing I'll do again, and I'll be here to do the job for the people, not for the law enforcement. Thank you.
Your candidates for county coroner. Now will the candidates for sheriff please come to the stage and take a seat at the table. The candidates for sheriff in ballot order are Chris Wirtz, Aaron Wilson, Andy Boggs, and Will Barger. If anyone have a question for the sheriff candidates, please get the questions to one of the league members as soon as possible. The candidate elected to sheriff will serve a 4-year term, and Will Barger, candidate for sheriff, has advised us that he will not be attending tonight's forum because of a prior commitment. So we will begin now with opening statements going in ballot order, and we will begin with Chris Wirtz.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Wirtz, and I'm running for Randolph County. According to General Omar Bradley, leadership means firmness, not harshness. Understanding, not weakness. Justice, not irresponsible freedom. Humanness, not intolerant. Generosity, not selfishness. Pride, not ego. I bring to the table leadership, communication, and transparency. For the last 31 years, I've dedicated my life working to serve my law enforcement and military career. Throughout my career, I've accomplished numerous achievements. I have my bachelor's degree in general studies and criminal justice administration. I'm an instructor with the National Law Enforcement Training Center in Missouri Police Officer Testing, General Instructor, and an instructor with the Iowa Patrol. I've achieved the rank of Master Sergeant and did all 4 leadership courses in the Army. I'm the anti-terrorism non-commissioned officer for the brigade, along with the equal opportunity advisor to the brigade commander. I'm a military police instructor and a military police investigator. With all of my training and experience, I have trained and certified well over 700 individuals in law enforcement and military and civilian. As part of the community, I'm a life member of the VFW, where I have been the commander for the past 7 years. I'm an Iraqi veteran. I'm a member of the Huntsville Rotary, the Moberly Lions Club, a life member of the Huntsville Masonic Lodge, Cairo Order of the Eastern Star. I'm a Shriner, also the vice president of the Pachyderms, board member of the Republican Central Committee, and member of the Missouri Police Chiefs Association, the Military Police Regimental Association, and a life member of the National Rifleman Association. I also strive hard to support our youth in our many activities.
Aaron Wilson, your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the League for the invitation tonight to this forum. I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to get the message out. I am the current sheriff of Randolph County and have served in that capacity for the last 4 years. It's been a great honor. At the department, I am committed to ensuring the safety and security of all the residents. My experience in law enforcement has taught me the value of integrity, transparency, and accountability. The past 4 years, I've been dedicated to building a department that not only enforces the law, but also earns the trust and respect of the community in which we serve. As your sheriff, my priorities have included combating crime throughout proactive policing, enhancing community outreach, and fostering partnerships with local organizations and businesses. I believe in the power of community policing, where our officers are not just enforcers of the law, but as neighbors and allies. And we've done that by putting more officers on the streets and in every community so that we make sure that our crime is at the lowest possible rate that it can be. I believe that this approach not only helps prevent crime, but also builds stronger, more resilient communities. I'm also committed to ensuring the Sheriff's Office operates with the highest standards of professionalism and ethics. This means ongoing training for all of our officers, a commitment to transparency, and a zero tolerance policy for misconduct. In today's world, we face challenges daily, but together we can create a safer, more united county. I'm asking for your support on August. Thank you.
Andy Boggs, your opening statement, please.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Andy Boggs. I'm a Republican candidate for Randolph County Sheriff. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event and allowing candidates a public forum to discuss their views and hopes for the upcoming election. I'm a lifelong resident of Randolph County. I was raised in Higbee. My father, Ernie, was a deputy sheriff for over 30 years. I met my wife, Christina, in high school, and we have been happily married for over 16 years. Our 2 children, Blake and Olivia, enjoy sports, camping, fishing, boating, horseback riding. My wife teaches kindergarten, parents as teachers, and supervises the after-school program. My Randolph County roots run deep, and our community involvement is very important. I started my law enforcement career as a jailer at the Randolph County Sheriff's Office back in 2004. After Mark Nichols was elected to sheriff, I was promoted several times to the eventual rank of sergeant, where I ran investigations until 2017. I'm very thankful to have Mark Nichols as my boss for many years. I learned many leadership qualities from him. In late 2017, I was hired by the Moberly Police Department as a corporal street supervisor and I'm currently a sergeant watch commander. I am responsible for the daily operations of my platoon and the officers beneath me. While leading investigations with the Sheriff's Office, I investigated and made arrests on countless child abuse and child sex abuse cases. I have overseen hundreds of drug investigations and have been a part of countless search warrant executions in this county. I have investigated numerous homicides and other serious crimes during my time at the Sheriff's Department. I've been protecting this county for over 20 years. I was the main and lead investigator with Randolph County for the Easter murder and crime spree. This event was one of the most tragic events in our county's history. And I'm happy to be endorsed by Randolph County Sheriff Mark Nichols and the Fraternal Order of Police. Thank you.
And now questions for our candidates for sheriff. And this first one will begin with you, Aaron Wilson. What do you believe is the biggest criminal issue facing Randolph County. What experience do you bring to the office of sheriff to combat this issue?
I think the biggest crime that plagues the Randolph County right now is our drug problem. We have a bad drug problem in Randolph County. It's been that way for quite some time. I've been at the sheriff's office for 20 plus years, and it's something that we've dealt with on a daily basis. We do work with many different organizations to try to combat that. We work at the prosecutor's office, and it seems like every time we get somebody prosecuted on drug-related crimes, or somebody else comes along and replaces them. I'm not real sure why Randolph County is a hub for these kind of crimes. I believe it's probably because of the prison, but we go out every day and fight the drug problem. And on top of that, our violent crimes are rising. It's something that we have to go out and fight daily to make our counties and our communities safer. So my experience with that, just we go out and we work with our community partners to make Randolph County a safer place, and we have to do this together with Moberly Police Department, the Highway Patrol, our department, other federal agencies, and we have to do it also with all the citizens. The citizens have to work with us and give us the information so we can stop these people and get them out of our community.
Andy Boggs.
Yes, my experience with the problems in this community is drugs. I think all three of us will probably talk about that. My experience with investigations, with investigating drug crime in this county, I've done countless search warrants. We've executed those warrants. Having worked at the sheriff's department for such a long time, being familiar with the county and being familiar with the people that live in the county, and also working at the Moberly Police Department. I've got to know the people in Moberly, and the best way to combat that is having relationships with all of the law enforcement, whether it's county, whether it's Moberly, whether it's the drug task force, or even the federal level. They have to have that communication, which I have, and that is the best way to combat the drug problem. Is to all get together and come up with a solution and execute.
Chris Wertz.
I'd have to agree the number one issue that we do have here in Randolph County is the drug problem. Right behind that is a lot of the domestic abuse and domestic assault going on. As far as the drugs itself, how to combat it, education. I've strived to get as much education as possible to not only help myself teach, but educate others on it. One of the things I'd like to do is get the DARE program back into our schools and into our county schools, and work with Moberly Police Department with their school resource officer to get the DARE program going. I know they have a lot of stuff going on, as do we. We have 3 different school districts in the county, and then we have the Moberly Public Schools. We need to work together and start the education with our kids. Are we going to get to everybody out there? Probably not, and I'm just being honest about it. Can we get to other people? Absolutely. The crisis intervention team that we have here for Randolph and Sheraton County that I'm the co-chair for, we have classes and we have schools that people can come to and learn about this stuff, among other many other things that we teach that we can bring to the community. Our biggest asset here is, yes, communication with each department. Also communication with the Drug Task Force, both on the state and federal level. After all of the years of law enforcement that you see sitting up here at this table, we network like you wouldn't believe. It's just amazing what we have to work with. So that's what I'm going to propose to do. Thank you.
Our next question regarding the budget, and we'll begin with Andy Boggs. If elected, what budget concerns do you believe you will face? How will you prioritize budget items, and or what changes, if any, would you propose?
Well, having worked with the Sheriff's Department for many years, I was around Mark Nichols, Evan Turner. I saw the budget. I know how it works. I know the commission gives you a set amount of money for your budget, for your department, and I plan to stay in that budget. I know the county needs better equipment and better cars, and things like that. I'm also a grant writer for the Moberly Police Department, and I have for many years. I plan on utilizing that skill to bring in money to help with those kind of things, and also working with the commission to get our equipment back up to where they need.
Chris Wirtz.
Budgets are touchy. You have to look in the past to see what you've used so far, and you have to guess for the future on what's coming up to see how much that you might need, and hopefully come somewhere in between there or get as close as possible to what you need. Equipment changes every day. There's modern equipment coming out all the time. Any of the Missouri Police Chiefs Associations that I've been to, any of the Sheriff's Department, the Sheriff's Associations that you've been to, everybody's always coming out with new equipment. The biggest thing is that equipment going to work for us? Some might not. You have to gauge that and be able to gauge that. As a former police chief, I've raised over $111,000 between ARPA money, grant writing, and donations for the police department. I would like to see computers in our vehicles so we have better communication between each deputy and between our 911 system and our dispatchers. The radio systems are starting to get better to where they can be scrambled. Basically, the bad guys don't know that we're coming unless they got lookouts. We need to do better with that. Training, I got to put training right after equipment, because as you get new equipment, you've got to have the training for it, along with training on the new tactics and the new things that come out each and every year.
Aaron Wilson.
When I took over office in 2021, I looked at every line item in our budget and went over them with the commission, and I looked at what we needed to cut as far as cost savings for the county, and where we need to put emphasis in bringing our equipment up to date. So I have done that, and every year we have came in under budget. I've also, in the last 4 years, been able to build a surplus of over $2.5 million that we have sitting in there in the budget. So if any of our equipment goes down, we can replace it. Our facility is about 15 years old. We're coming up with issues that are happening in the jail, our air conditioning units, all those other things that are going on that we're having to replace. And before we didn't have a surplus. We have that now. And I brought the Sheriff's Department to a point that we are running almost self-sufficient. We ask for very little money from the taxpayers. I don't believe that we need to spend taxpayer money. We have done that by redoing the whole jail process. We make the inmates pay for everything and do that. It's not your all's responsibility to pay for the inmates when they go to jail. So we have revitalized all of that. I work with Terry Maddox on our budget every year. We work throughout the year on it to make sure we stay under budget. Our equipment, we have upgraded almost every bit of our equipment. We do have newer cars. We have a new radio system that we're all getting used to now. That came from ARPA money. But as far as the budget goes, it is something that it's a tedious process that you got to stay on, and it's a daily thing that you watch the numbers and make sure you are within budget.
We will begin with Chris Wirtz on our next question. Law enforcement officer retention has been an issue in rural communities for years. What proposals do you have for retaining law enforcement personnel?
Finding people to work in rural areas at times are hard. It goes back to the budget on how much you can pay an individual to put their life on the line for citizens, whether they know them or they don't. I would like to try and find more people here in Randolph County that have a drive or desire to help the community, to give back to the community, and see about putting them through the academy if willing, if they are qualified people to do so. The biggest thing also is pay. We got to make sure that we're paying our deputies proper and see what it's up against. You have to look at the budget for that. Keeping them around, allowing them to live within a certain amount of response time, not necessarily having to live in the county itself, but close enough that they can respond in a quick time when needed. Training, give them the best training that we can find for them, the best training that there is out there. You're going to go through officers no matter what, whether you're with a local law enforcement officer or a county sheriff's department. Highway Patrol pays really good, and right now the Highway Patrol has a program to where if you have been in law enforcement for so long, you can go to basically a cut-down academy and go work for the patrol. We have to find ways to keep them here, to keep the desire going right here, to make sure our citizens are still covered properly and have enough people to protect them.
Aaron Wilson.
Officer retention is the number one priority. What I've done to try to combat that is we've had to expand the parameters on where officers can live. Keeping them in county, that is something that is no longer a thing. We have to broaden our horizons and go out and see where we can find people. We do allow our officers to live out of county, and that's the way we can retain a lot of our officers and also pay. I mean, we've gotten our pay up to where we are one of the top paying departments around. Our officers start out at $21 an hour. That's more than anybody besides Boone County. And we try to stay above that threshold. In the last 4 years, I tallied up, it's almost approximately 33% in raises that we've been able to give our officers to get them up to the salary so we can retain them. And that's what we have to do. We have to look at ways that what their needs are to live. And it's hard with the way that the prices are out there with the cost of living. It's something that we have to work with every day in the budget to try to stay within budget, but also pay them the money that they deserve to work the job that they do, because this is a thankless job. And you know, at least paying them a wage that is competitive to keep them here and give them the training and the desire to want to stay here and the reasons to stay here. I think with having our department be a family-based department is what we do. We'll keep our officers here. Obviously, people are going to go where they want to go and they chase money, but you know, we do the best we can, and we work with the commission to keep the rates up as high as we possibly can on giving everybody a raise every year.
Andy Boggs.
Yes, so I would say that you need to make Sheriff's Department an attractive place to work. How you do that is leadership. I've been a supervisor since 2007. I've supervised hundreds of officers. I would say you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that didn't like to work for me. So as sheriff, I'm going to create good leadership, good experience, and then the rest will follow: the pay, the equipment, and you know, day one, I'm going to have officers wanting a job because they want to work with me. And that's what we need. We have to have somewhere where people want to work.
Next question will begin with Aaron Wilson. The Office of the Randolph County Sheriff has contractual obligations with many of the small communities in Randolph County. How will you prioritize or manage coverage of all the cities, villages, and rural areas of the county? Do you think prioritizing coverage of rural areas has been done appropriately in the past?
We do prioritize we don't have contractual agreements with every town in the county. We do with Huntsville. Right now we have taken over Huntsville PD. And so we do have a contractual agreement with them where we dedicate extra time, up to 40 hours a week, for extra patrol in Huntsville. But it does not that doesn't leave out our other community. We try to, get to those communities throughout every shift. Make sure our towns are patrolled through every shift, more than once. We have, at any given time, at least 3 officers on the road, so we can make sure that we're hitting our towns and that nobody's left behind. Our community is very important to it, and so that's why we have put more officers out on the road to make sure that every citizen feels safe within the county. So no town is left out or excluded just because we have a contractual agreement. I believe that we need to be fair to everybody. Every citizen is a county.
Andy Boggs.
Yes, so I work in Moberly Police Department. As I've said, I work the night shift. I see that deputies are not going into the county as much as they should, and that's going to be something day one. We have to protect the whole county. Moberly has their own police officers and their own police department, and we have to protect the whole county. And also, I'd like to say, these officers, they're going to be in your schools. They're going to be sitting at lunch with your kids. You're going to see them at pickup and drop off. We have to get our trust back. Our kids have to trust our police officers. And it's going to make the community stronger.
Chris Wirtz.
I think it starts with our children. There's been too much going on this day and age where children are scared of law enforcement because of what's been said about them, what they see on TV, what they see in the video games that they play. Trust is something that is earned from the law enforcement officer, from the people. I would like to see a trust earned back from the people. The law enforcement officers need to go and be in the different communities, patrol wisely, find out where a lot of the stuff is going on at, put a little bit more high profile on there. Gravel roads just as much as the municipalities. On the same note, I don't feel that any municipality should be paying twice for a law enforcement agency. This is Randolph County. Randolph County Sheriff's Department covers the county. When Moberly PD asks for assistance, Sheriff's Department will go. When Sheriff's Department asks for assistance, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, Moberly officers will come out to assist in a heartbeat. And that should go vice versa between all of our agencies, Highway Patrol included. So yes, we need to cover the whole entire county, making the county the priority, but still being here for our fellow brothers and sisters in law enforcement for when they need it. If anybody gives the call, we must go.
And we talked about the rural areas. Now let's talk about the relationship the Sheriff's Department has with the city of Moberly. We'll begin with Andy Boggs. Do you believe there's a good relationship? Would you have any plans to either improve or continue the relationship between MPD and our CSD?
Yes. Having worked for both departments, I'll say years ago we all worked together. If Moberly Police Department was doing a search warrant or was going to serve a warrant on somebody who needed help, we all worked hand in hand. I remember my first murder investigation was with, back in 2007 with Ken and Niece. I was at home, and she just wanted me to get the experience, so she called me out, and I went and helped with it. I do believe that the relationship is strained right now, and it has been for a few years. And who better to bring that back together? A supervisor with the Moberly Police Department and one that supervisor with the Randolph County. There's nobody better sitting here that's going to bring that relationship back.
Chris Wirtz.
Tensions between any agency come and go. Sometimes they're more, sometimes they're less. You're going to have days that agencies work ecstatically together. They're going to be great. Is it really the agency, or is it the people that we have as officers? Are they trained right? Do they know and understand that, hey, look, we're all in this together? We're all here for law enforcement. We're all here to take care of our people. Our people are our number one priority on this. Whatever biases that law enforcement officers have between an agency need to frankly go out the window, because we are here for the people. Is there anything going on right now? I'll be honest, I don't know. But I want to find out. I'm a fixer, and if there is something going on, I want to fix it. We need to get back to being a brother and sisterhood of law enforcement, and we need to get back to our community and taking care of our community together, because our community is what matters.
Aaron Wilson.
I believe that our egos need to be left at home, and that's where it has to start. We have too many officers right now in both areas, with the police department, sheriff's department, all around, and I'm just going to say it. We've got to work together, not only with just, it's not between Moberly and the county. We have the highway patrol and all those. We all have to work together. We're too small of a community for everybody to be at war with each other. The problem is that officers don't want to leave their egos at home, and that's the problem. We have to work together. We're all on one team. It doesn't matter who's at the leadership level or whatever. I work well with the leaders at Moberly, chief and assistant chief. I mean, they're very open to any phone calls. They call us, we call them. Same with the highway patrol. We have no issues with them. We have had issues over our time period, and it's been for the last 20 years. It hasn't just been since I've been in office. But I think that, like I said in the beginning, it does start with leadership, and we work very hard about that. Make sure that all of our officers work together. That's what it is. We're all on one team, and we've got to get back to that. We focus on that every day. If we have any issues with that, we talk to the administrators at whatever department it is, and we get it figured out. And thus far, I mean, we've been able to work together real well to solve a lot of the crime in this county. And I think we still need to work more. And like I said in the beginning, it's just we have to leave our egos on the door.
All right, we'll do one more question. We'll begin with Chris Wirtz. What is your definition of trust, and how will you be working to instill that in the community should you be elected or reelected for the role?
Trust is something that's earned. Trust is not just given. After 31 years in civil service between the military and law enforcement, you learn to trust the person next to you, but it's earned. You go through everything that you can go through together. Trust is just not handed out. Trust means that the person next to you has your back and you have theirs. I would like the opportunity to earn the trust of the people of Randolph County. It isn't just handed out. I don't expect you all to hand it out to us. We have to earn it. Law enforcement officers, whether they realize it or not, are held to a higher standard. You as citizens need to be able to trust us. But it's your choice to trust us. We have to earn it from you.
Aaron Wilson.
Yes, trust is definitely earned, and that's something that we're big on every day. We have to go out here and treat people with respect. Can't go out here and treat people poorly and expect them to give you the respect that you deserve. So I have instilled that in all of our officers, that we go out and we treat people with respect. That is true. I mean, I'll piggyback what Chris said. It is something that is earned. You can't go and expect somebody to give that to you if you're not going to give it to them. So I think in the way that you handle yourself as an officer in the community when you go out on calls, or in your community policing, and how you're out talking to the kids, the families, whatever. I mean, you got to be able to show that you respect everybody in this community, and then that way you'll get the respect back. But you can't go out with the expectation that that is something that should be given because you hold a badge. That's not the way. Like I said in the last question, you got to leave your egos at the doorstep. And if we do that, then you'll earn the respect and trust of the community and show them that you know how to do the job and that they're just as important as the next person.
Andy Boggs.
Yeah, so trust is a big thing for me. A lot of you guys have probably seen my signs around. There's hundreds. You know, I'm law enforcement you can trust. I'd like to think that throughout my 20 years, most law enforcement, or all law enforcement, trust me. They trust me that I have their back, and they know that I'd come help them with anything they need. I've also got the trust of community leaders, and I'm just looking for the trust of this entire community, obviously, to get elected as sheriff. And we have to hire and train professional deputies that respect people's rights and respect their property. And that's going to be day one. So just trust is a process. It shouldn't be something I have to gain by getting sheriff. I already have that, and I'm going to bring that.
Now we'll have the closing statements from the candidates for sheriff, and we'll go in reverse ballot order, beginning with Andy Boggs.
Yeah, so again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. I'd appreciate your vote on August 6th and again in November. I have the desire, experience, and knowledge to lead a high-quality, well-trained department. As your next sheriff, I plan to bring professionalism and trust back to the office. I will increase officer presence throughout rural Randolph County and stand up and be the voice for all voters within the county. When major events occur in this county, I want you to know that I will be the most qualified, trained, and seasoned candidate for such events. I have a strong dedication to being a professional leader in law enforcement. I am trustworthy and honest. Again, I'm asking for your vote on August 6th, and let's bring back law enforcement.
Aaron Wilson.
I want to thank the league for our invitation tonight and for this forum, like I said in the beginning. I believe with my 20-plus years experience, I do bring the leadership. I know what it takes to run the sheriff's department on a daily basis. I've been doing it for the last 4 years. I know what the community wants out of a sheriff. I have worked on numerous boards throughout the state and locally, working with a lot of state leaders, local leaders on stuff. I am the only candidate that's been endorsed by the Attorney General of the state of Missouri. We've had numerous meetings. He believes I do a great job up here, and has put his name on the line to endorse me. Been endorsed by a lot of other state leaders. So I believe that my last 4 years of experience and my 20-plus years experience at the Sheriff's Department, and the only person being at the Sheriff's Department for the last 20-plus years, that I am the best candidate. I appreciate your vote on August.
Chris Wirtz.
Thank you to the league for inviting us here tonight. Thank you for everybody coming out here and listening. Thank you to all of you that are watching on Facebook Live and are going to watch this later. We need to create a better place for our families and strive to live in harmony with one another. With your vote, I will be a solid leader for Randolph County and will emphasize respect and trust to the needs of our community, and will also to our Sheriff's Department staff and all law enforcement agencies and emergency services in our county. I have a vast experience in civil and military law enforcement and have demonstrated that experience interpreting the laws and to serving the people, regardless of community status. I also wish to communicate with all of our county resources and make sure we are doing what we can to support them and the citizens that they serve. We are a community of communities, and we have to remember that we are all in this together, helping each other. Thank you for listening to us tonight, and please be sure to go vote August 6th. Remember, I'm Chris Wirtz for Randolph County Sheriff. I want to be the people's sheriff.
Thank you. Candidates for sheriff, you may step down. This concludes our candidates forum. On behalf of the League of Women Voters and myself, I want to thank the Moberly School District for the use of this beautiful facility. Thank you to the Moberly Monitor Index for your coverage here tonight and all the folks that work behind the scenes to make this event possible. We extend our special thanks to the candidates who participated this evening. It is a privilege as well as a duty as a citizen to participate in our great democracy. These candidates will make decisions that will affect all of us. Let us show that we value their willingness to serve by going to the polls on August 6th to vote. And remember, if you would like more information on League of Women Voters or are interested in attending more of their events, maybe you would like to join the League. We have folks who would like to talk to you here tonight. There is also a table at the back of the room with information available to you, and the members will be happy to answer any of the questions you may have. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you for listening today. I hope that you have found this episode interesting and that you have learned a bit about our elections and some of the issues facing our communities and our local candidates. If you have questions about anything we have talked about on this podcast, please reach out to us at wheelanlaw.com. I will also put our contact information in the show notes. I want to give a special shout out this week to the Moberly Randolph County League of Women Voters who work hard to make these forums possible and to promote informed and active participation by citizens in our governmental process. If you want to learn more about the League of Women Voters, I will also include those links in the show notes. As a reminder for our podcast listeners, if you hit the subscribe button, you will automatically be alerted when a new episode airs. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a 5-star review and share it with your friends and family. As always, my friends, grab a cup of coffee or your favorite latte, hold your loved ones tight, and have a great week.